I bet you're somewhat curious about IPv6 access control lists. Well, in this nugget, we're going to peel back the curtain and shed light on this exciting next generation topic. So I watched my IPv4 ACL nugget, and I encourage you to do the same thing, and I believe everything's going to apply. Yeah, except there's one big gotcha here with IPv6 ACLs as traffic filters. Watch. All right, so I have R1 and R2 in this scenario, and I made sure to configure EIGRP between these devices. Let's prove this. And by the way, of course, it's EIGRP for IPv6. So on R2, if I do a show IPv6 EIGRP neighbor, I see, yes, I have a neighborship with the R1 device. Excellent. So now what we'll do here on R2 is we'll create a traffic filter. In our scenario, let's say we want to make sure that R1 is permitted to telnet into R2. So we'll set up the VTY lines, and I did that in advance, and we'll go ahead and create the access list that does this, and we'll be sure not to break EIGRP. So we come into global configuration mode, and we say IPv6 access list, and we'll name ours ACL underscore test. We now want to permit the telnet. So it's going to be permit TCP from anywhere to port 23. So that would be EQ23. Excellent. Now, the exam's probably going to be a lot more specific than that, and we can go ahead and specify the IPv6 address of the source, for example. But for purposes of our demonstration here, we'll just be lazy with the any. Now, we got to fix this up for EIGRP. Permit, and it's protocol number 88. And again, we'll be lazy. We'll say from anywhere to anywhere. Excellent. So our EIGRP is going to be permitted by this particular ACL. Now what we do is something smart. We say deny, and we'll say IPv6 any log input. This is a similar strategy that we did with our IPv4 ACLs because we need to make sure we don't inadvertently break anything in our network and fail our lab exam miserably. So now we take this and we apply it to the interface. Interface fast Ethernet 0/0, IPv6 traffic filter, gotta love those keywords, really making it clear what we're doing, ACL underscore test, and we want this to apply in the inbound direction. So we end our configuration, and any log messages, of course, are going to indicate that we've broken something. Excellent. Now, what would we do to assign this under the VTY lines? If you have an ACL that you want to apply to your VTY lines, let me show you that. You would do this command, line console, or excuse me, line VTY 0 through 4, and then you would say IPv6 access class would be the command, and then you could specify your access list name. Excellent. So we slide over to the R1 device and we try this IPv6 traffic filter. We telnet to 2001:12::2. This is my IPv6 address on R2. And we are troubled by something. Telnet is not working. And it really should work. After all, I was extremely broad in my statement permitting telnet. I did the whole TCP any equal 23 bit. What is happening here? Well, let's go back over to R2 because we're going to get a big time clue. Thanks to the deny IPv6 any log input, we're getting a ton of messages here about ICMP v6 that is being denied. Ah, yes, it's coming back to me now. There's this neighbor discovery process that replaces ARP inside of IPv6. So it is utilizing ICMP v6 in its operation. This is normally implicitly permitted, but we explicitly denied all IPv6 traffic, so we broke that default behavior. Worth repeating. It's implicitly permitted in your traffic filters, but we reversed that when we did our deny everything. Okay, no problem. We can keep the deny everything for logging purposes, but I just need to doctor it up for ICMP v6. So let's show our IPv6 access list, and there it is. And let's go ahead and edit it so that ICMP v6 is permitted. So I'll say IPv6 access list ACL underscore test. We will permit ICMP from anywhere to anywhere. Notice we could get very specific here and permit router advertisements and router solicitations and neighbor discovery. But since IPv6 is so critical for us here, I'm going to since ICMP, that is so critical for us here, I'm just going to go ahead and do our blanket statement here. We want a sequence number of 25. We'll end this configuration. We will show that access list, and this looks much better. So we're not going to break the underlying functionality of neighbor discovery now that we are explicitly permitting the ICMP traffic. Did it work? Well, let's go over to R1. Let's retry our telnet, and we can see that worked just great. If we go over to the R2 device, we notice there are no log messages about things being denied. And if we go one step further and take a look at the IPv6 neighbors, we can see that neighbor discovery this time was able to successfully take place now that we have constructed the filter that works perfect for our lab exam environment. IPv6 ACLs, and in fact the entire study of IPv6 allows you to really leverage the mastery that you've demonstrated from the IPv4 world. But there are those occasional items we like to call gotchas that can rear their head, and we saw one of them in this particular nugget. I sure hope you found this nugget informative, and I'd like to thank you for viewing.